Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another vintage quilt block for you. This block is called Pieced Tulips, and I made it in red and green, which actually looks good for a Christmas quilt, if you want to do that. This is made with flying geese and half square triangles. It has some rectangles and squares. It goes together pretty easily. If you can do flying geese units and half square triangles, you've got it made. Now you do have to do a little bit of matching of points, but not near as many as the last block. So I hope you'll stay with me and I'll show you how to make this block. Here are the pieces that you're going to need to make the Pieced Tulips block. For A, you need one 3.5-inch square. For B, you need two 4-inch squares. For C, you need two 4-inch squares. For D, you need 16 2-inch squares. For E, you need 4 that are 3.5 by 5. And for F, you need 4 2-inch squares. And for G, you need 8 that are 2 by 3.5. And this will give you a 12-inch block. And I do have measurements on the written instructions for an 8-inch block if you're interested in that. And those instructions can be found in the description box below. There'll be a link that you can click, and that'll take you to the blog post that has a PDF of the instructions that you can download. So let's go ahead and get started. And first thing we're going to do is to make flying geese units. So we're going to need our D and G pieces. So D and G. So on your D's, we're going to sew right from one corner to the next. So you can draw a diagonal line on the back side from one corner to the next, or you can use a seam guide on your machine, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to use a seam guide. So let's move over to the sewing machine. Okay, to make the flying geese units, we're going to take one of the red squares, the 2-inch squares, and I'm going to place it right sides together with the rectangle. And now I'm going to sew from the center top to the lower left-hand corner. And you can draw a line there, or you can use the seam guide like I'm doing here. Okay, and now I need to trim off the outer corner here, leaving a 1/4-inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to use my scissors. You can use your rotary cutter if you want. And then I need to press this up. Okay, now I'm going to take the second square and place it on the other side and do the same thing. I'm going to go from the top center to the lower right-hand corner this time. And sew that. Okay. And trim this triangle off, leaving a 1/4-inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to press this up. Okay. So I pressed that up, and now I have my flying geese unit. So this is what it looks like on the back. And I need to make 8 of these. Okay, so now I have all of my flying geese units. So I'm just going to stack those up and set them aside. And now I need to make half square triangles. So to do that, I need B squares and C squares. So that's a green and a red. And I'm going to place those right sides together. We're going to make 4 half square triangles, so we need 2 of each color. So I'm going to put them right sides together. And I am going to draw a diagonal line on the back side of this one. So let me do that and I'll show you. Okay, so I've drawn a diagonal line on the wrong side of the two green pieces. I'm going to put these right sides together with a red. And now I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch away from this drawn line on both sides. Let's swing it around, so on the other side. And I'm going to do the other one the same way. Okay. So that's all sewn, and now I just need to cut on that drawn line and then press, and then we'll have 2 half square triangles from each one. So we'll have a total of 4 half square triangles. Okay. So I'm going to take one and open it up. There I have a half square triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and press. I'm going to press towards the red. Okay, so now I need to trim these half square triangles down. Now they need to measure 3.5 inches, and right now they measure just a little bit over 3.5. So I'm going to line up this diagonal line with the seam line, and then the raw edges are going to be matched up with the 3.5 inch mark on the ruler. So I need to trim here and here. So I'm going to turn this and that so that it is at a good angle for me. And if you want, you can trim on all 4 sides, which I think I may do on this one because it seems to be a little bit out of square on all 4 sides. So let's trim these 2 sides, and then rotate it, and I need to trim these 2 sides now. So and they're not that much larger, but they are a little bit larger than what we need. So you can see there's just a little bit that I trimmed off of that one. So I'm going to do this to all 4, and then I'll have the right size blocks. Okay, so now I'm going to make the corner units, which is the flower part, and I'm going to start by using the flying geese units, and I need the F squares, which are the 2-inch background squares. So I'm going to use them, and I'm going to sew one of these to a flying geese unit. And what I want to do is have the geese part, which is the background here, pointed down like that, and then I'm going to put this piece here, and then I'm going to sew that. So right sides together. Here we go. And I'm going to to do that to all 4 of them. Okay. Now I want to press this out. So I'm going to press the square out away from the triangle. So I'm going to press towards the square. So now I'm going to take the remaining Flying Geese units and I'm going to sew them to the half square triangles. And what I'm going to do is to match the colors. We're going to match red to red. And I want my triangle, half square triangle in this direction, and I want to sew this to the side, to the right side. So I'm going to turn it this way, and there is a point to match, or there is a point here that I don't want to blunt off, so I'm going to sew with that side up so that I can see the point. And then I'm going to sew just to the right side of that intersection. And if my piecing was accurate, then I should be able to just sew right through it without any trouble. And I'll show you what that looks like, which I think I got this one okay. So when I open it up, you can see the point of the Flying Geese. And I'll press it away from the Flying Geese. That makes that point show a lot better. So I'm going to do this to all 4 half square triangles with the remaining Flying Geese units. And there is, oops, do it this way. And then we'll sew on the other unit that we just finished, and then we'll have the corner units done. Okay, I'm going to cut them apart and then press. Okay, so I have all of these pressed, and this is what they look like. And now I need to put on this section here that we sewed just a minute or two ago. So I've got to match this seam here, so I'm just going to nest that seam together. And since they're pressed in opposite directions, that works really well. And then I need to watch that point there and do my best not to blunt that off. Okay, so here is the corner unit. So there is the tulip. So now I need to press the seam back, and then we need to put the block together. Okay, now we need to lay out the block. So we're going to put the A square in the center, and then on each side of that square we're going to put an E rectangle like this. Match up the short side of the rectangle. Okay, and then we fill in with the flowers, which are our corner units. These are our tulips. Like this. Okay. And now we're ready to sew into rows. So I'm going to sew them into rows, and then I will sew the rows together. Just sew the first two pieces of the first row. And then we'll do the middle row. And the last row. Okay, now I need to add the last piece onto each row. So I'm going to leave them connected together. Okay, row 2. And row 3, and just have to make sure I have that tulip facing the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and pin this. I'm just matching up the corners here. I think that seam might have turned on me. And no, it didn't. Oh. Okay. So now I have everything all stitched together. So I'm going to press, and then we'll stitch these rows together. So I'm going to cut the threads in between. So now I need to sew the rows together. So I'm sewing the first 2 rows, and I am going to pin at these intersections here and at the end. Okay. Okay, now right here is a point that I can see underneath, but I can't see it on top, so I'm going to, pencil's too long, so I'm going to mark where that is so that I will stitch to the right side of that, which it's fine, it's going right to the right of it anyway. And I have the same issue here. There's a point right here. And I want to extend that pencil line out so I can see it. And I want to stitch right to the side of that. Okay. So there's the first two rows. And those look good. So let me add the last row and do the same thing. I'm going to match my seams. And I want to mark out here so I can see. I'm losing my foot pedal there. Okay, now it's time to press and take a look at the block. Okay, so here's the block, and let me get my iron. So here we go, and I think this block will press easier if we press the seams towards the center. So I'm going to go ahead, press the seam flat, and then press towards the center. That's the area of least resistance. There's not as many seams. And then do the same to this side. There we go. I think that turned out pretty nice. So here we have the Pieced Tulip block. Well, that is it for the Pieced Tulips block. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you give this block a try. I think it's a pretty block. Use whatever colors you like, mix and match, do whatever you want. Not every tulip has to be the same color. You can make them all different colors if you want. So if you like this video, please click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.